Welcome to All Things Utah Hockey. My name is Lyndon. I am your host today. Today we're going to be covering league standings, player stats from this past year, and look at Utah as a group because what are they? They're the Utah Hockey Club. We're looking for a real team here. We're looking for the Mammoths or whatever we're going to be next year. So let's hop into this with this year's league standings. But before we hop into the episode, I want to mention our official Instagram for this podcast at Dylan Gunther the GOAT and at allthings.hockey on Instagram for your daily updated news about Utah hockey and your Dylan Gunther the GOAT daily posts. So let's get into it with the league standings. I got them pulled up right here. I just want to talk about where we're at and where Utah finished off this year because it is officially the offseason, guys. Officially the offseason. So we're officially not playing. Unfortunately, didn't make the playoffs this year, but let's take a look at the standings. So right now, I'm looking at this year's standings for the league. The Winnipeg Jets are on top right now, which honestly, for me, I don't know about you, it's surprising. It's really surprising. How are the Jets on top? I mean, what players do they have that are even, notable? Can we take a look at that? I'm not even sure what they have. It's like, who's crazy on the Jets right now? Okay, it doesn't look like anybody that's, really crazy. Let's look at their lineup. That's very interesting. I don't know. I just feel like the Jets aren't just on the top. They don't have anybody that's wow. That's crazy. I mean, who's on top for their team? Yeah, they just have a bunch of mid players. I feel like. I'm sorry if you're a Jets fan, but it just feels like a lot of mid players. Okay. Anyway, Jets are on top somehow. The Caps are right below them. Then we got the Vegas Golden Knights. Then we got the Maple Leafs, the Stars, the Kings. You know, the normal group of people just shoved right all in here. And where does Utah land this year? 19. Are we happy about that? I mean, a little bit. But from last year, let's see where we were at last year. Last year we landed at 27, so we definitely did better. We moved up. Problems with this though, I think, is look, they're not a team. They're the Utah Hockey Club. They're rebranding. They're in the middle of this we don't have a team name. We're just the Utah Hockey Club. I don't think anybody's loves the Utah Hockey Club as the name. It's not a very good name if we're gonna be real here. So I think we're waiting for that rebranding moment because the team themselves know that they're going to start changing, and the uniforms might change, the logo might change. It might, whatever they're going to change this to, might change the fan base forever. So it's something that we need to look at from a perspective of let them do whatever they needed to do this year, play as good as they could play, because next year they're going to do better knowing they have a full branded team. It's not just the Utah Hockey Club. In the middle of rebranding, I'm sure it's not easy for the players. So we need to give them a little bit of slack on that. But from going from 27 last year to 19 this year isn't bad. It's really not bad. But let's look at some of the key components that really make that. I have some of the best players for the Utah Hockey Club this past year pulled up. So if we look at the stats overall for all the players, Clayton Keller comes out on top with 81 games played and 30 goals. Not bad. He's got 90 points, almost got an 100-point season this past season, which would have been crazy. Bro is going nuts this year. 90 points in 81 games played. Not too bad. On at number 2, we got Logan Cooley. He got 75 games played and 25 goals with 65 points. Not too bad. I mean, can we be honest? These players aren't wow, they're insane. They're putting up Ovechkin numbers. They're going to beat the record. They're going to go crazy. They're just playing really good hockey. They're not doing bad, but they're not doing overly good. At number 3, we have Nick Schmaltz playing 82 games and 20 goals. It looks like 82 games is the highest that's on here. I think it's because it's the games they played. It looks like he played almost, it doesn't look like he was injured much at all. Clayton Keller looks like he missed one game, which is, that's pretty impressive right there. And for putting up 90 points and staying healthy for most of the season, we'll take that all day. Number 4, we got my GOAT and the GOAT, Dylan Gunther, playing 70 games and 27 goals. Not bad. Putting up 60 points. I would have loved to see a little bit better, but you can tell he missed out on a couple games there. I'm not 100% sure what the reasoning was on that. Being a new hockey fan just as of this year. I hadn't watched the entire season, kind of joined in the middle. Like I think it was a month or two after the season had started, so I'm fresh on it. You know what I mean? Dylan Guenther being the GOAT though, not bad at all, putting up some good numbers. That's all the really notable players that really did stuff for the team. If we look at goalies, the goalies actually went not too crazy, but I mean, not bad if you know what I mean. It looks like we had 4 goalies play this year. We had Carell, Connor Ingram, Jackson Stauber, and Matt Villalta, who only played one game. Matt Villalta only could play one game, and he won. So, W man, but didn't put up like any crazy numbers. I mean, 903 save percent, nothing crazy. When you look at Carell, he played 58 games this season, had 26 wins, 22 losses, almost broke even. You know, it's tough. He had a 904 save percent though, so I mean, that's pretty impressive right there. You know, there's not really much else to mention. I mean, when we go down here and look at like defensemen, let's see who our good defensemen were. It looks like the best defenseman was Mikhail with 77 games played and 15 goals, 53 points, 38 assists. You know, he was out there doing his thing, right? He was doing his thing. So you really can't complain like at all. Let's look at some of the times on the ice, though. I think that's very important to take a look at how long were these players averaging on the ice. So looks like Clayton Keller was 19 minutes and 7 seconds averaging on the ice per game. That's pretty good. So he played a lot and played almost every single game, stayed healthy. We need a good Clayton Keller next season, and we need to put up a 100-point season. 100%. I think we can do it. I think he could easily do that. And then we're looking at Logan Cooley. We got 17 minutes, 52 seconds time on ice. A little bit lower. Again, he did play a little bit less games, so maybe that's why. Nick Schmaltz was 18 and a half minutes on ice per game. Not bad at all for putting up 63 points, 20 goals in the 82 games played. Would have liked to see a little bit more goals and points in there. Although he had more assists than Logan Cooley. He had 43 assists compared to Cooley's 40. So he was out there doing stuff for the team. He was being a team player when he was out there. And then we go to the GOAT, Dylan Guenther. 17 minutes time on ice. I mean, I would have liked to see a little bit more. Obviously, he wasn't in all the games. Looks like he missed 12 games. So he wasn't in all of the games. But out of the entire team, Dylan Guenther, the GOAT, put up the most shots. He had 204 shots. Actually, I take that back. Clayton Keller had 218 shots. Not bad. Looks like we're a big gap away, though, from Logan Cooley. Only had 158 shots. So Logan Cooley was shooting, and he was putting them in at a higher average than anybody else on the entire team. So, I mean, go off GOAT. Like, seriously, he was doing some good work this year. But would like to see some more play time from Dylan Guenther. It looks like the most play time per game on the ice was Mikhail. He had 25 and 7 seconds time on ice per game average. That's a lot on. Like, I mean, that's a lot. I mean, obviously he's a defenseman, so he's going to be out there putting in the work. But man was really putting in the work. Like, for playing 77 games this season, being healthy for most of the season, we can't be mad at that. That's pretty good. Like, that is fairly good. I mean, that's incredible. Let's take a look at the single stats. So let's go back. Let's go to the top players. I feel like the top players, Nick Schmaltz is up there, but we're going to take a look at Clayton Keller, Logan Cooley, and Dylan Guenther because I feel like they have the most potential to land in the top 3 spots of the team next season. So let's look at the player stats for this past season. We had Logan Cooley started out in a very strong prejudice. What do you want to say? He started out very strong this year. In the first 2 games, he had 2 assists on both. The first one being versus the Blackhawks, and then the second one being versus the Islanders. He had 2 assists, so he was really putting in that team work out there. Although in the second game, he only had 12 minutes of on-ice time, which is pretty crazy. Not any hat tricks or anything this season for any of these players. I don't think I've looked at these stats before. Didn't see anything crazy. Logan Cooley looks like he had on March 22nd of this year versus Tampa Bay. He had 2 goals. That's his most on the season in a game, and it's his only 2-goal game on the season. Points-wise, though, he put up some numbers with several 3-point games. Looks like towards the end of the year is when he started doing that. Versus the Tampa Bay Lightning, he had 3. And then the last 2 games, besides he did not play Or no, he did play during the St. Louis Blues game, which was their last game this year. But the 2 games before that, when they played Nashville and Dallas, he also had 2 assists and 3 points on both of those games. Incredible. I mean, that's amazing. Getting what was that, 3 total? Looks like maybe 4 total 3-point games this season. Not too bad, you know. And if we take a look at that again, Logan Cooley averaged. He got 65 points this season, so he didn't do bad at all. Let's go to the top player of the team this past year, though, Clayton Keller. Man, did he actually have a pretty good start to the year as well. Versus Chicago, he put up a goal, and he also had 1 assist on that. And then 2 games later, versus the Rangers, put up 2 goals, 1 away from that hat trick, and 3 points in that game. Looking really strong at the beginning of the year, and then it hits on November 2nd through November 29th. So the entire month of November, he had 0 goals. Yet, he did have a 3-point and 3 assist game. So he was out there putting in the work, just couldn't get anything in the net by himself. Then we had another game versus Minnesota in December where he got 2 goals and 2 points. And then he went off on December 22nd of 2024 versus Anaheim Ducks. 2 goals, 2 assists, and 4 points. Put up 4 points in the game. And that was not his only 4-point game. If we go up to January 18th of 2025 versus the St. Louis Blues, he put up 1 goal, 3 assists, and 4 points. I mean, he's putting in the work. And that's not just his best game of the season. The best game of the season for Clayton Keller was 100% versus Minnesota, February 27th, where he put up 1 goal, 4 assists, and 5 points. Almost an assist on every single goal. They did really good against Nashville. I was at the game. I'll put in some footage on the screen so you can watch. I saw one of these goals. Not sure which one it was, but I'll put it up there because it was pretty cool. They destroyed Nashville. Absolutely destroyed Nashville. Clayton Keller had 2 goals, 2 assists, and 4 points in the game versus Nashville. Finished the year out strong with a goal and a point versus the St. Louis Blues. Not too terrible. Let's look at his overall, though. Let's go back to Logan Cooley, too. I forgot to do this. Let's look at his overall season. He did very, very good with the 65 points, 75 games played, 25 goals. So what he's averaging, what is that? 25, a fourth of his goals are going in. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad at all, actually. Or a third of his goals are going in. That's not terrible. I'm not mad about that. And then Clayton Keller overall, again, had the 81 games played. So played almost every game, missed 1 game. And then he had 30 goals. Not bad either. And then 90 points. Not bad at all. Like, they didn't do anything, again, overly crazy, but they didn't do anything bad. Like, they weren't, like, the worst team in the NHL. Let's go to the GOAT now. Dylan Guenther. Dylan Guenther had one of the strongest starts of the year ever. Versus their first 2 games, October 8th and October 10th, they played the Blackhawks on the 8th, where Dylan Guenther put up 2 goals and 2 points with only 16 minutes on the ice. And then, even more impressive, he put up 2 goals and 2 points with only 12 minutes on the ice versus the Islanders. I mean, 4 points in the first 2 games, or 4 goals and 4 points in the first 2 games start the season. Not bad. Had a little bit of a drought, though, I'm not going to lie. The rest of October he only got 1 more goal and 1 more point, or 2 more points, sorry. And then he really just hit a little bit of he wasn't putting up a lot of numbers at all. Looks like he might have missed some of these games. I'm not sure. He just hasn't put anything up in this. And then looks like during the game versus the Penguins, he did finally put up 2 more goals again for the next time after those 2 goals, and then put up 3 points as well. And then he starts to go off a little bit. You see the numbers go up. Versus Colorado on December 12th, he puts up 2 more goals and 3 points. The game before that, though, versus Minnesota, gets 2 assists and 2 points on that. Not bad at all. And then he plays a little bit of a drought. I'm not going to lie. He goes into a little bit of a drought again. Doesn't see much. And then randomly on February 4th, February comes by. He scored no goals in January. But February comes by and he says, January just wasn't my month, man. Had to get a start to the year before I could start even thinking about hockey. And he puts up 2 goals, 3 points, and 1 assist in the game. Not bad at all. And then for the rest of the season, he kind of just gets one goal scattered in there. And then, I mean, versus Seattle on April 8th, he didn't do bad either. He had 3 assists and 3 points on the game. Not terrible. Just didn't get a lot of, I guess, opportunities by himself with it. So he's just being a team player, which that's my boy. That's the GOAT right there. He's just a team player. Let's see those shots. I didn't look at it for the other players, but I did think I saw an incredible number on here somewhere. Get about, where was that? Yeah, two back-to-back games versus the Maple Leafs and the Blackhawks in March of this year. He had 7 shots on goal, and then the game after versus Anaheim had 8 shots. He only made one of those in out of all of those. So he was putting up numbers. He had opportunities. He was shooting the puck, just couldn't get it going. Although on April 10th, when they did play Nashville, he did have 6 shots, and he did make one of them, and he had 1 point in that game as well. So, again, they didn't do bad. They didn't put up, like, terrible numbers. Let's look at what the starting lineup was looking like for most of the year, because it was mainly the same. Looks like for the center, we were starting Logan Cooley, of course. Left wing, starting Clayton Keller. Right wing, Dylan Guenther. Left defenseman, we're starting McHale. I mean, you could already see all of these are already, like, the top players. Like, this is the people that I was just naming off that landed on the top list of players for the year. And then Sean Durzi for right defenseman, and the goalie was obviously Carell most of the time. And then for second line, you got Barrett Hayton, Nick Schmaltz, Josh Doan, which Josh Doan, I want to talk about him. Josh Doan did not do bad this year either, I don't believe. As a rookie, as one of their best rookies, I believe, didn't do terrible. Let's look at his stats here just a second. Let's go back to this, though. We had Ian Cole as left defenseman, right defenseman Michael Kesselring. I'm not sure how to say that exactly. Not looking too bad. And then Connor Ingram, obviously, but he is injured until September 15th this year still. September 15th of this year, he's out. Yeah, it looks like it. Holy crap. He's out until, injury until September 15th. Wow, that's all right. Wonder who our backup goalie is going to be then. Well, let's look at Josh Doan real quick, because Josh Doan did not do bad this year. I remember looking. Looks like for 2024, this past year, he played 51 games, had 7 goals, 19 points, 12 assists, with an average of 13 minutes time on ice. Not bad. Like, really, he had 88 shots on goal, so he was putting up the numbers. This guy is the guy that's going to be hanging out there with my boy Dylan Guenther. You're going to take some tips from Dylan Guenther, the GOAT, and start to move up there in a little bit, you know? I think he's going to start to move up there. We're going to see some numbers put up with Josh Doan this next year. Dylan Guenther's going to put up some crazy numbers. Logan Cooley's going to put up some crazy numbers. Same with Clayton Keller, and I think we're going to see a 100-point season for Clayton Keller, if not more. Because if he got 90 this season, again, they're not a full team. They're almost rebuilding. Think of it as rebuilding, because they're not a full team. They just have a random name. Like, they're just Utah Hockey Club. They're in between that little, like, weird, and I'm sure it's not easy for the players knowing what's our, like, what are we? Like, we're changing. So a lot of change on the player from, we're in Arizona. We're playing as Arizona Coyotes. Oh, now we're in Utah. Now we're the Utah Hockey Club. If I was on the team, I'd be pissed. You're kidding me, right? We're going to Utah? Arizona Coyotes, and we're going to Utah Hockey Club? Nobody else has ever been. Like, are you kidding me? I don't know. You know, I wouldn't have been happy. But there's a lot of change going on. These players probably are just getting used to Utah Hockey Club in general. And now they can't even get used to that for a year, because now they're, supposedly rebranding again this year. Hopefully they go with the Mammoths. I love the name the Mammoths. The Utah Mammoths would be sick. I would buy so much merch if they were the Utah Mammoths. So, Utah, please, let's listen to the players here. Listen to the fans. Go for the Mammoths. I think there's a Mammoths what everybody wants. They have another one that's like a cowboy-looking thing. It's like the Outliers or whatever it's called. Sounds cool, but I want Utah Mammoths, man. The Mammoths sound so cool. Like, seriously. Other hockey news that's going on right now, of course, we had the Stanley Cup Playoffs going on. Looks like Dallas is leading. Is Dallas leading right now? Hold up. Let's look at the bracket. Let's look at the live bracket. See what's going on here. My team for the bracket for Stanley Cup Playoffs, I think it's going to have to be the Maple Leafs. I'm not going to lie. So if we look at the live playoff bracket for 2025 Stanley Cup Playoffs. Winnipeg is leading the Blues 2-0. Maybe Winnipeg's just goated and I don't know it. Put me on, guys. Is Winnipeg just goated? Dallas and Colorado are tied. They're 1-1 right now. That's right. They won in overtime the other night. I watched part of that game. Golden Knights and Minnesota are tied 1-1. And then the Kings and the Oilers, they only played one game, so it's only 1-0 for them. But Toronto last night, my boys, my team, they're 2-0 against the Sens right now. Brady sucks. Brady sucks. Brady sucks. 2-0, Brady. Where are we at, man? I saw the goal last night. That's all we have? That's all we have? Let's see some action, man. Actually, no, you don't have action. So the Maple Leafs are just going to sweep you, man. All right. Florida won last night, too, against the Tampa Bay Lightning for the Battle of Florida. So it's 1-0 on their game. And then Washington won in overtime. Ovechkin's first playoff overtime win. Pretty sick. The same year he broke the record, too. I mean, hey. So they're leading 1-0 against Montreal. And then the Carolina won last night as well. So it's 2-0. And they're against the Devils. I mean, I'm going for the Canes there. Let me throw up on the screen right now. I'm going to put a little picture up of my bracket that I submitted. See what you guys think for that. Because, I think that's just how it's going to go, I genuinely think it's going to come down to the Maple Leafs and the Avalanche. I don't see how it's not going to. I mean, the only other thing I could see is the Kings coming through because the Kings are low-key kind of good this year. And it's a little bit scary. They're just beating Nick Loser over there and Draisaitl. So they're not really doing anything crazy. But I think they have a chance. They actually have a chance. And the Knights or the Leafs are taking it this year. So I'm ready to see what's going to happen. I mean, the Avalanche are probably going to make it through because the Avalanche are pretty good this year. McKinnon, McCarr, all the players are doing really good. They have some good rookies as well. Callum Ritchie's not bad. Sam Malinsky's not bad. They have some really good players on the Avalanche this year. But then again, my boys. But then look at the Maple Leafs. Like, we got Willie, Mitch, Poppy himself, Austin Matthews, JT, John Tavares, Max Domi with no front teeth, man. Oh my gosh, Benoit. Did you see that hit Benoit got the other night? I'll put it on the screen. Holy crap, he laid him out, dude. This is going to be a good series. The Sens versus Toronto is going to be a good series. They're going to Ottawa to play next. The Battle of Ontario is going to continue. This is going to be a good series. And I've also heard they limited the amount of Leafs fans that they want to have into the place by like regional ticket prices and stuff. Not sure exactly like why we're doing that. Let the Leafs fans go to watch the game, man. What are we doing? I mean, you got to be kidding me, man. It's a little bit ridiculous. But with all that being said, I think this has been a very, very successful first episode of all things Utah hockey. There may be a name change coming up. We may do like all things Mammoths or whatever we go with. Utah, please go with the Mammoths. We'll see what happens, though. Dylan Guenther is the GOAT. Don't forget that. Remember to check out the Instagrams. I will leave them in the description below. Maple Leafs all the way. Winning the cup. It's our year. See what happens with that. But Utah is going to come back and have a absolute banger of a year next year. Can't wait to go watch them play the Preds every time they play the Preds in Nashville here because I think they're going to put up some numbers against the Preds and shut them down. Let's see it, Utah. I'm ready to see something go here. Dylan Guenther, reach out, man. Let's meet up when you come to Nashville. Let's get a little autograph going, man. You are the GOAT. You know what I mean? So let's get it, man. Let's get it. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to see more content like this, we'll do some off-season stuff, talk about the games here and there. So it won't be all things Utah hockey, but let the boys take a break in the off-season, man. Take a vacation. Have a little brewski with the boys. You know what I mean? See it, bro. See it. Hope you guys have an amazing day. Remember, go Leafs and go Utah. Leafs are taking home the cup this year. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. I'm up and I'm out. Up and I'm out.